Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a university in our region teams up with a health organization to bring COVID testing to students and staff.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Chas Gayhart. It is 6 o'clock on Monday, January 10th. Let's go over and check in with Brandon. How is it going over there this morning?
Going so far so good. I'm glad I didn't have to hit the roads this morning because it's icy out there in some spots. But here at the house and just kind of enjoying the heat. But of course, the heat will be on for all of us a little bit later on today as we get above freezing. See a few clouds kind of lingering around earlier this morning, but they've started to clear out as we head deeper into that forecast, going past the 5 o'clock into the 6 o'clock hour here this morning. Any water on the road, maybe like right here in that lower section of your screen, that could be some icy patches. So just be careful out there this morning and give yourself plenty of time to get back and forth. We're going to see temperatures cold, 17 now, Monticello, 20 in Irvine, 21, Moorhead, London, and Wise, and then a lot of low to mid to upper 20s. Looks like 27 Hazard, Middlesboro, and Jonesboro are warm spots for the moment. 44 is our average high today. We're going to be below that at 35 for our forecast high. Record high set back on this day in 2018 of 69 degrees. Chas?
Thanks, Brendan. Well, with the Omicron variant still prevalent across the Commonwealth, COVID-19 cases continue to increase. WYMT's Chaz Jenkins has more from health officials regarding the situation.
As the holidays come to an end, COVID-19 cases are seeing a dramatic increase.
We were back up to over 700 cases in our 7 counties, so that was the 7th highest total we've had since the pandemic began back in March 2020.
With Appalachian Regional Healthcare seeing more than 100 hospitalized.
Now, this is still less than half of where we were at the peak with Delta, but unfortunately, we are seeing the curve go back up at this time.
Calling on everyone to stop using clothed masks moving forward.
We really need to step up our game with masking and use an N95 respirator, a KN95 respirator, or high-grade surgical masks to really cut down on the transmission of the Omicron virus.
Worried about the amount of healthcare workers calling in sick.
Using good practices both inside of our facility as well as outside. And even though most of our staff is now vaccinated, most of our staff is not boosted. I think the last data I heard was about 7% of our staff is boosted.
Asking people to start using clinics to get tested, not the emergency room.
We need to make sure that our fine partners there in the emergency room are doing what they need to focus on and go to one of these urgent treatment centers or the health department or one of these other clinics and we can do the testing for you.
Hoping to someday see an end to the pandemic. Chaz Jenkins, WYMT Mountain News.
Lockhart adds they still highly encourage washing your hands. He says that not only significantly helps stop the spread of COVID, but other prominent illnesses during the winter season. With the Omicron variant and students returning back to school, the University of Pikeville is partnering with Wild Health and the Pike County Health Department to offer free COVID testing for students, staff, and community members. The free COVID-19 testing clinic will continue this week through Thursday from 1 to 6 p.m. at UK Pike Fitness Center. Pike County Public Health Director Tammy Riley says she and her staff have already seen a great turnout so far.
We've had a wonderful turnout. I mean, considering the weather, the storm that hit and the roads haven't been the best, just in spite of all that, we've had some good foot traffic. The University of Pikeville students as well as community, just general community members walking in.
Riley adds that the health department will be hosting free COVID-19 vaccination clinics within various Pike County communities in the near future. New redistricting plans have been submitted to Governor Andy Beshear. Republican leadership in Kentucky's House and Senate introduced these plans recently, the General Assembly passing them Saturday. But some Democratic lawmakers still have concerns about the new boundaries. Shelby Lofton explains.
Both the House and Senate met on a Saturday to cross a top item off their list. pass redistricting plans. Those maps determine who represents different groups of voters.
I can tell you that Frankfurt has unfortunately become a battlefield.
Lawmakers argued over redrawn maps created by Republican leaders.
We are diluting the voices of urban centers when we know population is headed toward urban centers.
Those against the newly proposed legislative districts say they split the urban core of certain communities.
We're telling you there is harm, and you don't care.
And unnecessarily divide counties.
It didn't need to be cracked more than once.
Several legislators said the maps were created with a lack of input and the process was rushed. House Speaker David Osborne pushed back on those claims.
You were given a homework assignment. You turn it in late, you turn it in incomplete, and then you're mad because we aced the test.
He said the changes made were constitutional.
Understand that input was sought. Understand that, yes, this is a difficult process, the most difficult process that we have gone through as a legislature. Nobody wants to lose the people that they've represented, but the law requires it.
Not enough to sway some lawmakers.
All those in favor, please signify by voting yea on the roll call machine. Those opposed, nay.
At the Capitol, Shelby Lofton, WKYT.
The bill is now headed to Governor Beshear's desk. Lawmakers also approved a bill that would change boundaries for the state Supreme Court. The General Assembly meets today. And the governor is warning Kentuckians that an advance of frigid weather will create further hazardous driving conditions today. KYTC officials warn these whiplash temperatures combined with rain can cause slopes along roadways to become unstable, and rock slides are the result. The KYTC recommends winterizing your vehicle, making sure your heater, defroster, headlights, and windshield wipers are working properly, and maintain safe distances from other drivers. As temperatures dip well below freezing, the risk for flash freezing across the region is increased. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet say all hands are on deck for conditions to be similar, if not worse, than the snowstorm this week. KYTC recommends, if you can, stay home this morning and stay off the roads.
We will have crews and contractors reporting later today. We're going to fill all of our trucks with salt, make sure we have chainsaws ready, because with heavy ice that usually leads to limbs breaking and falling into roadways.
KYTC crews said they are preparing for everything, including falling tree limbs and black ice. The recent series of severe weather has left some first responders in Union City feeling fatigued. Less than a week after the region was hit by an EF1 tornado, came 9 inches of snow, and now the threat of flooding. Marty Sewell is with the Union City Fire Department.
Yeah, there was a huge pine tree across the street there at the church. It's been there since I can remember, and it got taken out with the tornado.
Homeowners in the city were still recovering from the previous storm when the snow came through. Now the threat of flooding is not making things any easier for a recovery. Today marks 1 month since the devastating tornadoes hit western Kentucky. Countless volunteers are still helping victims every day, and one woman has organized many volunteer opportunities to help with recovery efforts.
Located just around the corner of the food trucks giving food, in an area hit hard by the December tornado, is a porch pantry for victims to stop by and take whatever they need.
The reason we do this is because a lot of the families over here and in the other neighborhoods, they don't want to go into any kind of government building because they don't want to ask for help. So this way they don't have to have any questions asked, they can just come and grab whatever they need.
Caitlin started organizing the food truck cookouts in the Creekwood area after hosting a cookout in her backyard the day after the storm.
I just felt like we needed to kind of help our neighbors out because everybody had power and we knew our food was going to go bad, so we just decided to use the food out of the freezer and all that kind of stuff. But we basically did a cookout that very next day in the backyard, and then it kind of blew up. We ended up feeding 500 people that day.
Now an admin to the Kentucky Tornado Help Group on Facebook, she still organizes the food truck lunches, but also has a pantry in front of her home.
A lot of people weren't getting pantry items, even if they were getting hot food. So we started doing the porch and just kind of putting whatever anybody wanted to bring over here out, and then people can come by at any point in time just to grab whatever they need.
Caitlin keeps the pantry going through donations, but has noticed there's some pirating occurring.
Because there was a lot of people that were coming and taking stuff that they didn't really need it, just to return it back to the store. And so we had spoken to Walmart and Kroger both, and called over there to see if there was a way to prevent it, and they told us to mark through the UPCs vertically so that the UPC won't scan.
She says bringing donations helps her out the most, along with drivers for the food truck lunches, but asked to mark barcodes out on donations to prevent pirating. In Bowling Green, Gina Kleinecrocht, WBKO News.
And here on this Monday morning, a cold start to the morning. As you see here, temperatures in the teens and low 20s in most places. Some spots like Hazard and Jonesville, Middlesboro in the upper 20s, but it is below freezing across the board. So be ready for that as you head out the door later today. We take a look at your conditions for today. Mostly sunny skies after some icy spots possible this morning. Temperatures will get above freezing, so overall not too bad of a day. Headlines for the next several days, well, we see a cold morning again with some icy spots possible. High pressure for most of this week will give us sunny skies, and we're tracking a late week system that can bring us some chances for rain and maybe some snow if there's enough moisture left over by the time it gets cold enough. Chas?
Thank you, Brandon. And thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, in the fight against COVID-19, the Biden administration signs its first ever contracts with COVID test manufacturers.